China just became the first nation in the world to ban the trade and consumption of wildlife, a $73 billion industry that is larger than the entire US meat industry. The reason? The coronavirus, which has killed nearly 3,000 people and is threatening to become a global pandemic. The virus came from a meat market in Wuhan, China, and the government is now taking this action to stop the spread of the disease. But is it too little and too late? As someone who is facing decades in prison for exposing the cruelty and disease in meat farms, I have a message for the Chinese government. We have to take on the entire meat industry before it kills us all. The millions of animals killed in Chinese wild animal markets live in diseased and crowded conditions. Species ranging from peacocks to frogs to soft-shell turtles live in tight industrial sheds, often on top of their own excrement. Scientists have found that this sort of intensive confinement is a big part of what causes epidemics. But that is exactly why factory farms are an even greater threat than wildlife markets. Recent research shows that the Great Flu epidemic of 1918, which killed 100 million people, 33,000 times as many as the coronavirus, came from, you guessed it, a pig farm. And to keep these animals alive, every year in the United States, we use 20 million pounds of antibiotics, 70% of the total usage of these crucial and medically important drugs. That means each generation of new pathogen is stronger than the last one, and eventually, one is going to kill millions. But despite this, the global appetite for meat is growing. Ancient Buddhist philosophy recommended against eating animals in China. And one of the most famous studies of the benefits of a plant-based diet was named the China Study. But while millions of Chinese Buddhists remain committed to a life of compassion, many others have been influenced by the West. And meat consumption is skyrocketing in China. When you start to realize that every chicken nugget is like a ticking time bomb, you start seeing the meat industry as not just a threat to our dietary health, but an existential threat to human civilization. And yet the Chinese government, like the US government, has done almost nothing to solve the problem. Worse yet, our governments have been actively subsidizing these abusive industries. The World Health Organization is warning us that the day is coming soon when an ordinary scratch on a child's knee will become deadly. Yet even progressive politicians support sending billions of your taxpayer dollars to prop up these abusive industries. But if the Chinese people can successfully pressure their government to ban the wildlife trade, then we here in the United States can convince and pressure our politicians to finally take on factory farms. If you support government action to challenge Big Ag instead of subsidize it, then sign to show your support today. With your help, we can make the fight against factory farms a national political priority.